Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, it is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Guys, it's been a couple of weeks, and I'm glad to be back in the chair talking to you guys. Listen. First thing to address before we go any further with everything, guys, is Happy Easter. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. For those of you who went to church, I hope you guys enjoyed the message. For those of you who spent time with family, I hope you guys enjoyed the time. For those of you who did both, good job. You know, it's not easy, but when you can make time for it, you should do both. And, you know, just for reference, guys, I had a wonderful time with my family. I spent a lot of time with Junior. And, you know, he was very happy with today's festivities, and it was just a wonderful Easter. Shout out to the family, both sides. You know, love you guys. Thank you so much for making this Easter a wonderful day, not just for myself, but specifically for my son. So, for those of you who've been listening, you guys know I'm a big happy father, I guess you could say, and a big happy family, and you know there's nothing better than that in the world. So just want to chop that up real quick for all of you who celebrated Easter today, and you know, my love and prayer goes out to everybody. I hope you guys had a wonderful time. Now then, let's talk about the other elephant in the room, guys. Yes, we have changed Palm Tree Sports time from Saturday at 6 p.m. It will now be Sunday at 9 p.m. My Saturday was becoming a bit caged, or I guess you could say uncaged. That would probably be a better terminology in this situation. So look forward to seeing me guys at this time. This also works out very well because I'll be able to talk to you directly, usually after the Bucks games. Most of the time we play early games. Same thing with Miami, of course, down here, for those of you who realize that as well. So we'll be able to you know, chop it up a lot earlier and really get down to, you know, business about what's going on here with Florida sports. As you guys may know, it's a big thing down here. You know, wherever you guys may be listening, sports is a very, very taken seriously thing down here, as you guys can tell by the multiple of athletes all over the place that have come from Florida. So I look forward to being able to share that information earlier and often with you. You know, starting, like I said, this is the first episode today, or tonight I should say, at 9 p.m. So again, thank you for joining me. But just want to address those few things real quick. Now, obviously, because the NFL season is over and I guess you could say the offseason is stabilizing, you know, we have the draft upcoming, which is going to be extremely huge. I personally, I could give you guys a few ideas of what I see these teams doing. Here's the thing. I think that the draft is going to be a little bit more unpredictable this year than it has been in recent years for our Florida team specifically. Now, there are a few positions, specifically about 2 positions, that each Florida team is going to have to address in the draft basically immediately within the first 3 rounds. There are each positions, and they're different positions for each team. And that's something that I will talk to you guys about as we get a little bit closer. I can tell you for sure that one of the things for Miami, I'm going to go from the ground up. So for Miami, a very big deal is going to be defensive line. And defense in general for Miami, as you guys saw, their offense was humming last year, one top 5 offenses in the league. Absolutely weaponized at the receiver position, which is something else they should continue to look at as well, because they can add better pieces to the pieces that they already have behind Tariq and Jalen Waddle. But that's just something for them to really consider, and I think that they will. But defense is going to be the primary focus for Miami. The Jaguars have to develop some type of chemistry on offense, because that was what was sorely lacking in the second half of the season. Them them losing Calvin Ridley in the offseason also really hurts them tremendously. So look for them to attack a lot of positions on the offensive side of the ball. Okay, that should include, but not be limited to, running back and wide receiver, possibly even tight end as well. And then obviously they're going to have to address their offensive and defensive lines. With what's going on for them, it's going to be harder for Jacksonville in this draft than the other two teams. Tampa Bay comes in, and they're basically going to be looking at what you expect them to be looking at. They're going to want to shore up that defensive backfield. They have probably the best safety tandem now when you add Jordan Whitehead opposite of Antoine Winfield Jr., but that cornerback position is something that definitely needs some depth and some help in, and that would be one place that I say that the Bucs are sorely lacking. The next places are going to be in their offensive and defensive lines. They're going to want to shore up these positions as well, just due to the fact that they have great potential interior-wise, but on the ends for the defense specifically, they are going to be off and on. You don't want a 50-50 quarterback rush game, so look for them to attack the defensive line as far as the edge is concerned. Okay, now we do have two tremendous guys, but you're going to need more than that. Winning the Super Bowl a few years showed us that you're going to have to a good 3-4 guys in rotation is where you want to be with your edge rushers. And then of course offensive line was a very hit and miss subject for us last year. Started off got bad, got good at times. It's something that needs to be perfected, especially with Baker being the dog that he is. He deserves a little extra protection. I wouldn't be surprised if the Bucs drafted a receiver late. There's no need to go after one early, though. You still have your number one and your number two in Mike and Chris. And maybe the best 1-2 punch in all of football also, if you really break it down and think about it, okay? So that's something else to take into consideration. But the last bit for Tampa Bay is going to be that linebacker position. Obviously, losing Devin White was something that we kind of expected to happen, and it's unfortunate that it went the way that it did, but guys, it's just something else that Tampa Bay is going to want to make sure that they have under locks, especially after signing the key pieces that we were able to retain and in free agency as well. So, but that's what to look forward to. Like I said, as we get closer, I'll give you guys some names, some potential suitors for the position. And the reason why I want to wait till we get close is because I want to see what the teams are also looking at too. I could give you guys an analysis all day, give you an example. Jacksonville should absolutely go after this soon-to-be rookie wide receiver coming out of Florida and Ricky Parcel. But hey, listen, that's going to be a front office gig, and they're going to have to also zone in and look at what options are available and to make work. You go get a guy like Ricky because he played football, very close to where you're going to be playing football for the foreseeable future in the Jacksonville Jaguars. And mind you, Florida's in Gainesville. So yeah, it's not like it's Miami to Atlanta or something. It's not like that, okay? He's played, in the exact same, essentially, temperature base and area. It's going to be an easy fit for him at that mark. And I think that if he can help Trevor Lawrence develop some chemistry, that could easily be a guy that helped change around that culture that Jacksonville has at the wide receiver position at the moment. So it's just food for thought and an example for a name. But so let's see what's going on here. Yes, absolutely, Taryn. Great to see you, my friend. Yes, happy Easter, of course. And, hey, Dad, I see you in the chat, too. I'm glad you were able to join us this evening. That always makes my day. So, yeah, shuffling around the show. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, you love it, and that's why you do it, but it's not optimal all the time, but at the same time, we also want to be optimal for the listener, so you get the idea. It's the truth of it, and I'm just glad that we're all able to rock at the same time. Like I said, sometimes, things arise and we have to make changes, but the point is that we still get it done, and that's what makes it worth it in the end, right? Like, it's never the destination, it's always the journey, right? So, but yeah, so that's what's going on there for the NFL, guys. Like I said, off season, so you guys know how that works. I'll give you whatever information comes my way in regards to that. But like I said, right now until the draft gets here, we're basically just going to be on wait and see. College football, of course, has swung into the spring practice. The Gators just played their first scrimmage, and of course, you know what that means. Florida State is not too far behind playing their first. They actually might have played their first on Saturday because they usually optimize on Saturdays. The Gators are a Sunday, Monday team. So I'll have to go back and look at that for sure. Same thing with Miami, but both of those teams probably start playing at the same time. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't start early, though, just because they weren't winners and losers in the transfer portal. Both of those teams did not much. They did some things, but it wasn't optimal for them. So I don't fully suspect that spring football will really break out until next week. And so we'll have to see what happens. And, as soon as the red and orange game, or the orange and blue game, my bad, red and orange, what am I thinking? The orange and green, okay, for Miami, and then the orange and blue for the Gators. As soon as those games are played, I will be able to give you details on that as well. But last bit for the NFL, or football in general bit, just a shout out to Shaq Barrett. I actually met him recently and got a picture with him. He's a real nice guy. It was awesome to meet him. Just in a journalistic place, and he walks in. He's so tall, and that you recognize when you see him. He's played for Tampa Bay for a few years now, and it was just absolutely amazing. What a talented man he is, and a great man at that. Like I said, it was easy to talk to him. He didn't treat us weird or anything like that. It was such a pleasure to meet him, and I got to tell him, congratulations on his new contract with Miami. And I just hope for the best, and thank you so much for what you did, helping us bring a Super Bowl to this city, and some of the best years of football the last few years we were able to watch, and he was a part of that. So shout out to Shaq Barrett. If you ever hear this, we love you in Tampa, and good luck down in Miami. And take care, my friend. Take care. Now, that, like I said, was last bit for football. Let's go ahead and move on into the NBA, guys. So let's talk about the Heat and let's talk about the Magic, right? So, for the better part of the season, the Heat and the Magic were kind of matching each other record-wise. That's since taken a detour, I guess you could say. It took a detour actually about 2 weeks ago, give or take, and that would be with the Magic pulling away from the Heat. The Heat right now are stumbling a little bit. They seem to have lost the gas pedal in the car, and they're kind of swirling out of control. It's not a good thing for them because their losses are catching up more than their wins are, and then with the postseason approaching very, very shortly to be, within the next few months, guys, it's going to be really hard for Miami to out any of these teams in the East at the moment, chief among them being the Magic. Magic playing tremendous basketball right now. I would say they've just played tremendous basketball all year. I'm not even going to say right now. I'm just going to say all year they've played tremendous basketball. They've been doing very, very well for themselves. Very impressive team, to say the least. But the Heat, on the other hand, with all the experience and talent that they have on this team, it seems to be that injuries have also hurt this team again, just as they did a year ago, and as they have kind of, throughout the existence of the Heat, may I add. They are just struggling right now. They're sitting 7th right now in the Eastern Conference. It's an outside looking in possession, and they're not necessarily going to want to be there. They don't have the same squad they had last year, and that they lost some dog during the offseason. So I really think that Miami is either in a make it or break it position right now. If they have to play a play-in game to make it, I don't see them winning that play-in game, almost regardless of who that it's against. You expect this after so much longevity and success that they've had over the really last, now you can really look at it, say last few years actually, and then you push it back a decade ago when LeBron was playing. So you really expected this. Like I said, it's painful to watch them fall. But with that being said, they were able to beat the Wizards 107-97 yesterday. Wizards exactly aren't a good team this year, so it's not like that win is as important as it would be if they beat the Bucks or something like that. But then at the same time, 2-2 in the last 4, they're dangling, man. They're dangling. They're trying to hang in there, but they're not playing basketball very well at the moment. When they get on a shooting grind where they've been up and down, sometimes they're on, sometimes they're off, and it's been a 50-50 literally over the last, I would say, month, give or take. That's the part that makes you question, how is this team going to perform in the playoffs, right? So that's why I say what I say. I really think that they're going to have to try to avoid a play-in. If they're in a play-in, it's just going to add so much more struggle to this team, and they're already struggling. Next game is going to be against the Knicks, though, and that's third-ranked Knicks over in the East. They're rocking a 44-25 record. Pretty good win-loss comparison when you look at what Miami's got going on. That game's going to be Tuesday, April 2nd at 7:30 p.m., so if you want to see an Eastern Conference bombshell, this should be that. I think that, obviously, the Knicks, they're playing really good basketball, and they've been playing good basketball all year. This is a team that means to be successful, not just in the regular season, but in the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised if the Heat fall to the Knicks, but we're pulling for the Heat. Come on, boys. You're going to have to put some wins together here, okay? Realistically speaking, between that rank 7 where Miami is at and rank 3 where the Knicks are at, there's only about 5 games separating them, okay? And that's the thing that really is interesting. I would say that if, let's say 5 games, probably about 6 games actually. Now I'm looking at a little bit more detailed, but realistically, the Heat are going to have to go on some sort of tear, and the Knicks are going to have to fall backwards. It could all start here with this matchup. But I don't know, guys. Like I said, the Heat, they are hurt. They're just hurt. And it's hard to play good basketball when you're hurt. That's just the end of it all. And unfortunately, that's where they are. The Magic, on the other hand, though, trending upwards, they're looking pretty good. Now, it's been bumpy over their last 5 games, 2-3. But their record says that they're a lot better than that, 43-31. This team means business right now. They're a far cry from the team they were a year ago. And it's all off the back of some tremendous drafting over the last few years. Excuse me. My apologies, guys. Some tremendous drafting over the last few years, as well as some superb coaching. I have to admit, this team, in my opinion, is probably the most improved team. I think that this team has a great shot to do some damage in the playoffs, and I really, really hope that if they can, that they don't just go in and they're one and done. I really would like to see this team make a push, maybe an Eastern Conference Finals push. Okay, I don't know about a Finals appearance, but this team has a lot of magic behind it, pun intended. Okay, so good luck to our boys in blue. Our boys in blue. Once this playoff gig, they're gonna make the playoffs for sure. Okay, fully believe in them to do that. And, it's just part of the locomotive that they call the Orlando Magic right now. They're just trailblazing. I mean, I'm making all these puns right now. What am I doing? Anyhow, you get the idea, guys. With a W over the Grizzlies the other night at 118-88 ball game, it's a 30-point ball game. I mean, it's just super impressive what this team is able to do. And may I add, one of the youngest teams in the entire NBA. The Magic are really putting their best foot forward when it comes to what we're seeing right now this season. I just hope that they continue into the playoffs, all right? So next game is going to be against the Trailblazers. That's going to be, tomorrow at 7 p.m. So if you're looking for some basketball, early game is going to be this one. It'll probably be a Western Conference late game. So just keep in mind for that, guys, just in case you want to see some Orlando Magic basketball. Like I said, 2-3 over the last 5. But don't let the last 5 scare you away from looking at their full record. They're playing great basketball this year. Keep it up, boys. Let's go ahead and get into our first break of the evening. When we get back, we'll go ahead and we will discuss what's going on in the MLB. We'll talk about the NHL, a little bit of college basketball, just to cover over what we didn't talk about last week. And then we'll wrap it up with what's going on with UFC 300. Trust me, you're not going to want to miss that card. But until then, thank you for having it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host. And as always, it's brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daryl Kinsey Jr., and I'm welcoming you to take another lap with the fastest show on IE Sports Radio. Yes, this is the Extra Mile with me and my co-hosts Christopher Lehman and Michael Ward. We talk everything racing from NASCAR to IndyCar to Formula One to limited hydroplanes, endurance racing, the NHRA, and more. So come join us for an hour of great racing talk and a lot of fun as well on the Extra Mile, Thursdays at 8 p.m. only on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
You heard the man, that's Big T over there with SoCal Sports, handling everything coming out of South California, you guys. But over here on the other side of the bay, on the other side of the states, I should say, in the bay of Tampa, that be, we are going to talk about Palm Tree Sports, and we're going to talk about IE Sports Radio. We're going to talk about what's going on here in the South, specifically in college basketball. Well, the thing is with that, guys, with what's going on in college basketball is, one thing that's predictable is that nothing is predictable in college basketball, especially during March Madness. March Madness this year wasn't good to our Florida Gators, unfortunately. Now, Miami and FSU, they knocked their own selves out of the tournament. But the Gators, on the other hand, looked like that they had a shot to do something special this year. They were rallying with a defeat of Alabama and as well as some other big wins. Texas A&M and so on and so on. Unfortunately, they would fall to Colorado 102-100 in a very hard-fought game. This team fought hard all year long, but after a terrible injury to one of our youngest players, as well as just the debilitating toll that it took to play in the SEC this past year, really, it ended up being too much. The Gators were unable to handle it, and it finished a wonderful season, 24-12, but with a lot of work to do in the offseason to become better, to go farther next year, and to become more healthy, especially when it comes to the latter part of the season. At the end of the day, that's just what it is. There's no way around that. Congratulations to Colorado on that victory. But moving forward, as you guys, if you didn't see in the chat, my dad actually made a mention of it, so shout out Dad for putting that out there. But yes, NC State was able to defeat Duke 76-64. They played Purdue in the Final Four. This Final Four is definitely going to be a very interesting one. I'm not sure if NC State was the team people were expecting out of Carolina to go this far, but it's also pretty cool to see Purdue in the mix again. I think they're in the mix for the first time in a very long time. I don't remember if I read that correctly, but I think they said it was like 98 or something like that, which is insane when you think about it, right? With the other game being UConn versus Bama, thanks again for that, Dad. It's going to be a very interesting Final Four, and I can't wait to see which two teams wrap up for the national championship. I personally don't know where I want to go with this. Alabama's a good team right now. They beat a really good team in Tennessee as well. So we'll have to wait and see when it comes down to the mix of who's going to round out these two games. But I look forward to seeing what happens in them. I will try to watch them. We'll see what happens, and when we get back, we'll talk about it, guys. We'll definitely talk about it. But in any case, that's what, that's pretty much the end bit for college basketball for us. When I talk to you next time again, we will have I believe, crowned a champion. So that'll be the only thing left to talk about there. But again, congratulations to the Gators on making it to the big dance. Unfortunately, they were knocked down in the first round. But congratulations, boys. Got a lot of work to do in the offseason. Good luck to us, and maybe return to form next year. Same thing with the Florida State Seminoles and the Miami Hurricanes. Both of those teams are going to have a little bit more work to do, and hopefully they're able to get it done. Miami probably closer than FSU is to finding that rhythm of success that they were trying to emulate earlier in the season, but you get the idea. So, but good luck to all three teams, and as well as the rest of the colleges that are playing basketball here in the state of Florida. Okay, Dad, so let's see. Purdue's first time since 1980. That's incredible, guys. Think about that. First time in the Final Four since 1980, huh? And so let's do the math real quick. If that's 1980, that would be what, 46 years? 44 years. That's incredible. So, congratulations to Purdue there. Hopefully they can pull it out, right? Not going to be an easy game against Cinderella, though. Cinderella usually comes to play. So we'll see what happens there, guys. We will see what happens there. Moving on, though, into the MLB, let's talk about the Rays. So now the baseball season just started, so as you know, in starts, it's going to be a little early to tell how things are going. One thing I can tell you is that Randy Arozarena is up to Randy Arozarena tings, okay? If you know what that means, he's hitting home runs, he's kissing bats, and he's flipping them. And whenever he's doing that, it's usually good news for the Rays. Nonetheless, they start the season 2-2, splitting their first 4 games. It's about what you would expect. You can't expect them to do what they did last year, because last year was just completely unheard of. Record setting in the least, and also uncharacteristic but very welcome by our Tampa Bay Rays. They took a hard loss to the Blue Jays today, also 2-2, splitting their first 4 games. 9-2 today was the final score of that game. Not exactly something that you want to see, but it is what it is. That is what took place earlier today. They're just going to have to play better next time. I mean, What is next time, right? During the next game? Well, the next game is going to be against the Rangers. That game is tomorrow at 6:50 p.m., so they're going to have a chance to right that wrong. But it starts somewhere, guys, all right? It can't just be Randy and the boys just playing good on offense. We're going to have to play good on defense as well. We're going to have to square away our pitching, because when you see a 9-2 ball game this early in the season, you're saying, yeah, it's early, but we don't want this to become the continuous issue that we face throughout the season. Now, obviously, pitching was going to be a bit of a question mark for the Rays coming into the season. We fully expected that, but we can play better than this, and we know it. All right? At the end of the day, we're going to have to do that, and 9-2 victories, or my bad, losses, are not going to cut it, right? So early on the season, I know, but I love my team, and I just really hope that the rest of the boys get their behinds in shape, because realistically speaking, this is going to be a harder season than it was last year. All right? And we know this. All right, we've lost some guys in the offseason who were paramount to the success of this team. Okay, one to legal issues, one just going somewhere else, and best of luck to him at that. But when you look at what took place, like I said, especially with the off the field issues, we just gotta hope that this doesn't become a detriment to the team, right, moving forward. And I don't want to use names because everybody knows what happens. What happened, I should say. So, yeah, come on, Rays. We got to play better than that. Let's try to right the ship tomorrow. Like I said, 6:50 p.m., they're going to take on the Rangers. Rangers 2-1, play one less game. So, that'll be it'll be interesting to see if they end up 2-2 and the Rays can go to 3-2, or if the Rays will go down to 2-3 and we'll have to start playing catch-up, okay? But, again, it's still early to see what's going to happen. We just give this team some time to gel and really figure itself out. And I think our boys will be okay. But they're going to have to figure it out and figure it out quick, all right? So that's what's going on. Like I said, early in the Rays season going on here, 2-2 be the record. Look for them to, try to play better tomorrow. At the end of the day, that's all they can really do. So moving on, right, to the NHL. So we kind of going through those things pretty quickly, but again, off season for a lot of things, our teams didn't make it deep into the conversation as far as playoffs would be concerned, or not necessarily just the playoffs for the NFL, but in college football and basketball. There's not a lot to talk about there, guys. Once there is, I promise I'll share that information with you. But got to get ready for next season. That's what we're going to have to do. And also, one other thing to take in consideration is that the UFL actually just started. And I want to touch on that real quick before I go into the NHL. I know said I was going to hit the NHL, but watched a couple of games earlier today. I believe it was Memphis. I watched Memphis play. They won. And then there was one other game that we watched earlier. I forgot what happened in that game. But the point that I was trying to make is, guys, what a nice alternate to the NFL. Now, we don't have any teams here in Tampa. As far as the UFL is concerned, they changed. They went to a different state. They went to a different city and a different state. So we don't have one. But it's something that if you guys are missing NFL football, it's a great substitute. I think these games are hard fought games. It's slightly different from the NFL. Actually, I want to say I would say definitely different from the NFL. So if you guys haven't checked it out yet, go check out one of these UFL games. I don't think you'll be disappointed. These are definitely gritty games. Okay, low scoring, a lot of defense, and some of these teams are just they've got it figured out. Some of these teams need a little bit of help. All right, some of these teams need to fire their coach. But I promise you, it's interesting. So give it a look. Like I said, especially if you're missing NFL and college football right now, this will be a great alternative to that. Now then, back to the NHL, guys, just to get on top of the Bolts and the Panthers. So the Bolts are surging right now. They're playing extremely well. They're playing probably the best hockey they've played all year long at the moment. I'm very happy to report that they're going to have to, because the Panthers sitting at number 2 isn't trying to give that spot up anytime soon. But the Bolts, nonetheless, they're 4th in the Atlantic Division, rocking a 41-25-7 record. Very solid record right now. They just off the bat of beating the Islanders 4-1. Islanders rocking a 31-27-15 record. This team's middle of the pack at best, but a 4-1 victory is still welcome as we continue to climb the charts, trying to stay alive and up in that Atlantic Division, okay, that Atlantic Conference, I should say. The next game will be against the Chicago Red Wings. That'll be 36-30 and 8 Chicago Red Wings. That'll be tomorrow at 7 p.m. So get ready for that one, guys, just in case you're looking for some Bolts hockey tomorrow. Got a perfect time for that. 7 p.m. going to be kickoff time for a lot of games, actually, tomorrow. So get prepared for that, guys, in case you are wanting to watch either Magic Magic basketball, you want to watch the Rays play some baseball, which that game starts 10 minutes earlier. Remember, 6:50 start time for the Rays, but essentially 7 o'clock on the East Coast here. And then obviously the Bolts are going to be playing at 7 as well. Just in case you're wanting to check any of those teams out, tomorrow is the night to do so, so get ready for that. As I said, the Bolts are on fire, guys. They've won 8 of their last 9 games, okay? This is phenomenal hockey that they're playing. This is something that we expect, but when you get it, it's still... You guys ever go to a bakery and have, like, order your favorite thing, and you have that feeling that you got to the bakery and you're like, oh my god, I'm going to order my whatever, insert favorite food item here, and then you actually get it, right? You see how that excitement goes from a 3 to a 8 when you get to the actual location, and then to a 10 or above when you actually get your food. It's like that right now, watching the Bolts play hockey. Like I said, they're tearing it up. 8 out of the last 9. Some of the best hockey they've played in probably a year. I have to admit, I'm very impressed with this team. They're surging. They're playing extremely well on both sides of the puck, offensive and defensively. I have to admit, this is the team that we look forward to seeing. This is the team that we love, and this is the reason why they've won 2 back-to-back Stanley Cup titles, with a third that they almost were, they were within arm's reach to gain. Okay, so shout out to the Bolts for ripping it up. Just so proud of what they've been able to do. Making this late push in the season, getting ready for the postseason. I think it's showing that they're starting to click on all cylinders and they're really finding their stride. And once somebody gets in rhythm with that flow state, it becomes very hard to beat them, especially in the team aspect and factor. So, good job, Bolts. Keep up the good work. We love what you're doing, and we're with you all the way, boys. Keep it up. And shout out Larry. What's up, Larry? Good to see you, my man. I'm glad that you're able to make it. Happy Easter indeed. Wonderful Easter for me. I hope it was a wonderful Easter for you too, my friend. And but yeah, I can't say enough good things about what the Bolts are doing right now. So, and it's only fit they continue to do so. Like I said, Red Wings game is going to be tomorrow at 7 p.m. Let's go ahead and make it 9 out of 10. What do you say, boys? Panthers now. Okay, Panthers. They're ranked second in Atlantic Division, conference, whatever have you. Excuse me, my apologies, guys. Pawn is kicking down here for the record. So, yes, Panthers playing extremely well. They've been playing well, though, all year. This is kind of what you expect from them. Florida boasting 2 of the better teams in all of hockey is something to be very proud of, especially in such a tropical paradise as such as what we get labeled as. I won't lie to you guys. It is a tropical paradise. I mean, I woke up this morning, it was 55, and by 2 o'clock it was 80. So... yeah, it's pretty crazy down here, guys. But you get what I'm saying, though. Panthers plus playing, like I said, playing really good hockey at the moment. They were able to beat the Red Wings 3-2 in their last outing. They were 2-2 in the last 4, but not to be remiss of how well that they played hockey this year. That's probably the first or second time they've gone 2-2 in 4 games. For the most part, it's been on the up and up for them. But it doesn't get any easier as they move into tomorrow's schedule at 7 p.m. Also for the Panthers game. So like I said, if you want to check out any of the Florida sports we have going on right now, 7 o'clock is going to be your time to turn it all on. You're going to be clicking between 3 to 4 channels, okay? But they're going to be playing the Maple Leafs. That Maple Leafs team is rocking a 42-22-9 record. That game comes on tomorrow and is at 7 p.m. So, like I said, if you're looking for some Panthers hockey or some Florida hockey in general with Tampa Bay Bolts as well, Lightning Bolts to be exact, tomorrow at 7 p.m., guys. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. That's what I can tell you. Now then, with that being said, guys, we have one last thing to talk about. This one last thing to talk about is actually just something that I have a passion for and something that I love. And if you guys are into it as well, I want to give you the heads up that this is going to be the biggest show. For those of you who do keep up for mixed martial arts, something that's near and dear to my heart. Obviously, I'm not going to go into extreme detail about everything, but just a heads up for those of you who do watch, mixed martial arts, that UFC 300 will be coming up, guys. As somebody who's been watching the UFC since, let me take you back in time. I started watching the UFC in about 2007. Okay. Now, in 2007, I was 13 years old. I'm pretty sure you guys can do the math. Okay. Was I 13? I believe I was 13. Yeah, I was 13. Okay. I am now 29 years old. All right, guys. When I tell you this is the biggest fight card in martial arts history. It's not just UFC history. It's martial arts history. When you talk about the people that I'm about to mention to you right now, we are talking about some of the best pound for pound combat sports athletes who are going to be all on the same card. Okay? This, without the shadow of a doubt, is the greatest UFC event ever put together. And this is definitely the greatest martial arts event ever put together. In one night, we are going to see 2.5, and I don't laugh at me when I say and a half, because this half actually means something. 2.5 titles will be put on the line, including the illustrious 205 light heavyweight title. Now, for those of you who don't know martial arts history, the light heavyweight title for a while was more important than the heavyweight title. Okay? And we see that happen in boxing sometimes. We see that happening in other forms of martial arts. But there was once upon a time where the heavyweight champion came down to light heavyweight because the division was just that cracked. Okay? I'm talking about a time when it was Tito Ortiz, when it was Chuck Liddell, when it was Randy the Natural Couture, there was just some absolute legends, dogs in the fight game at 205 during that time. And that very same belt is going to be on the line one more time between two of the very best strikers that the UFC has to offer in Alex Pereira and Jamal Hill. Some sweet dreams, Hill, to be exact, guys. Now listen, this is definitely an intriguing matchup. This is definitely a matchup I want to see at 205. This was actually the matchup I want to see at 205 because I think that this is a guy who truly is not afraid of Alex, and that when he gets in there, he's going to treat it like any other fight, and I think that gives him a really big shot to win, because I think a lot of fighters feel that way until they get into the octagon with him, and then it changes when you realize how massive this guy is, and you realize he's actually a heavyweight that walks around at 220, 225. This is going to be an insane match. This is your main event. Something for you to look forward to. Now, the co-main event is going to be Wang Zhongwei Li versus... I should have put her last name. I completely whiffed on that, you guys. I do apologize. Zhao Nan. Okay? I might have said her name wrong, but I believe that's how you say it. It's going to be one hell of a matchup, guys. Personally, I'm a huge Zhang Wei Li fan. I've been watching her since her really, I want to say I caught her second fight in the UFC and kind of basically followed her from that point forward. But she's been a tremendous, tremendous champion in the women's division. An absolute force and probably the best female fighter on the planet at the moment. She's got it all. She's got the speed, she's got the striking, she's got the grappling, she's got the ability. There's pretty much nothing that she can't do, and I look forward to seeing her put her skills on display here at 300 again. I'm going to take her for the win in that one. Between Alex and Jamal, that's going to be a tough one. I like both of these guys. I really think that Jamal Hill has as good a shot as anybody to beat Alex, so I'm going to take Jamal in this fight just because if it's going to be somebody, I feel like it's going to have to be somebody like Jamal who's well-rounded, not afraid to take this fight to the ground and really bully Alex in areas that he's not been bullied in. So that's just something for us to take into consideration for that main event. So the co-main event, so the second co-main event, is going to be one Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. Guys, I'm telling you right now, this is the best fight on the card. It's the best fight on the card. If somebody doesn't go to sleep, I mean, just think about the two people I just told you. Justin Gaethje, perhaps the most devastating man under 180, okay? Perhaps. I mean, there's no guarantee, but perhaps the most devastating guy, striking-wise, under middleweight, okay? Versus Max Holloway. The man who holds, and if you guys can't tell by the change in my tone that Max Holloway is a special place in my heart, then I don't know what else to say, but check this stat. I'm just going to give you one stat about Max. I'm going to give you two, actually. The man has the most significant strikes landed in UFC history with 3,500 plus, okay? And in 29 professional bouts, this man has never been knocked down once. In his entire UFC career, all the times that he's been hit, he's never been dropped. Not even one time. So this fight has fireworks written all over it, guys. Like I said, if you know martial arts, you know this is probably the biggest fight on the entire card. It's for the BMF title. Insert knowledge of BMF there for those of you who want to know what it means. That game that's going to be absolutely phenomenal matchup, guys. It's going to be my favorite matchup to look at on the card. But, guys, this is not the only fight here. Charles Oliveira, also somebody who else is near and dear to my heart. This man is the pound-for-pound king when it comes to finishes in UFC history. He's got the most finishes in UFC history. He's going to be fighting Armin. I can't say his last name. I'm not going to try to say it. I think he's Russian, I think it is. Nothing against the Russian fighters, but I can't pronounce those names. Those are some very complicated names, unfortunately, and that's just something that I will continue to work on, so bear with me, guys. But that fight is going to be a really good fight as well. But personally, obviously, being the Charles fan that I am, I'm going to pick Charles in that fight. Charles is an absolute devastating finisher. He has the ability both on the feet and on the ground. Perhaps the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt at 55 as well. Something else for people to take in consideration. Yeah, he may have been submitted by the champion, but when you're that high on the BJJ chain, you're not thinking a wrestler is going to submit you. That's not what your concern is. So I understand maybe Charles took, the champ for granted, and that's probably why he lost that belt. But hey, he's going to have a chance to get it back, and winning this fight will get him in line for a title shot to get that 55 belt back around the rightful champion's waist. Now then, to wrap all this up, guys, also on that card, just in case you are a mixed martial arts enthusiast, you're also going to have Bo Nickel, Yuri Prohaska, Calvin Kattar, Aljamain Sterling, Holly Holm, Bobby Green, Kobe Gabbard, Davison Figueiredo are all fighting that night. Okay? So it's going to be absolutely insane the amount of talent and former champions alone that will be on this fight card. And just for reference, in the fights, the names that I just gave you, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of these guys that I just named are all champs or former champions in the UFC. So do with that information what you will, guys, but it's been my pleasure to come to you and give you this information on today's episode of Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports. Again, guys, thank you so much. April 13th is going to be UFC 300. Again, the biggest card in UFC history. I'm glad we were able to go over all the things that we missed over the last week or so regarding Florida sports. And again, as things continue to open up, I will have that information for you. I really appreciate you guys joining me here on Easter Sunday. Again, I had a wonderful Easter, and I hope that you did too. I hope you guys spent tons of time with your family and, with your loved ones, that you guys were all able to make it worth it. I look forward to seeing you guys here, same time, same place next week. It's been wonderful to talk to you guys about what's going on in the world of sports here in Florida, and I look forward to doing that again next week. You guys have a wonderful week. If you're headed to work tomorrow, take a second for yourself, prepare yourself, get ready for the week, get ready for the challenges that you may or may not face, but don't forget to enjoy life, guys. Life is a game that is meant to not just be played, but enjoyed, and it all counts, all right? Everything counts. Every time you do something, it'll be brought back around to you. That's just the law of the universe, and, I just hope that you guys can find some peace and solidarity in that as you continue to move forward in your independent walks. And us as a group here in IE Sports Radio, I really appreciate you guys. Like I said, love you, Dad. Love you, family. Thank you so much, Big T. I appreciate it. Happy Easter again to you guys, and I will see you same time again, same place next week. Have a wonderful week, guys. Peace.